Welcome everyone, it's another Thursday night. This is the Killer Comic Show. I am Charlie, aka Nuclear Comics. We've got Tom from Not Quite Mint as always, Andy from Perpetual Comics, and we've got a fourth member tonight, the one and only Dan Panosian. How are you doing, sir? Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm doing good. Is it late at night for you guys, or
it's only 9 o'clock. We're just getting started, really.
That's my bedtime.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's only 1 o'clock over there, so it's the peak of the mid-afternoon there. So,
yeah,
you must be loving it.
I just woke up.
Legend. I just woke up. I think I might go right now at 1 o'clock.
That was me, and probably in my 20s, maybe, but not now. No.
You don't look a day over 30, Dan. So. You're doing well. You're doing well. But thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we're just jumped straight into the chat. We've got the chat's been buzzing since we started off. We've got Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. All right, boys, I'm on the road, so we'll miss the live. We'll check the shenanigans. Have a good one. Thank you very much. We've got Phil's Treehouse. I'm saving the good seats down the front for folks. Thank you very much. And then he said, I'm afraid to meet my heroes. So Dan, you've got a fan, and I just replied back, they never live up to what you expect, but this one does though. So
we'll see.
You should be okay. You should be okay.
That is young.
It is indeed. And then we've got Chris Bell, Good Evening Killers. We've got Bat Dan Dixon, Up Ducks, Connie Dalton, Good Evening Nerds. Look at me being on time. There we go. Thank you very much. And we've got YouTube royalty here. We've got Triple G Comics, another YouTubing extraordinaire from the UK. Thank you very much for joining us. And we have Leon Russell. I'm looking forward to the show. Thank you very much. And Yuko Demands Treats has also just jumped in there as well. So Dan, last time we had you on the show, it was kind of like a this is your lifestyle moment. We kind of like looked at your history, what you've done, what you've got coming up, and what you're working on. This time around, you've kind of I don't really know what you set yourself up for, but us three are just new. We're going to review Alice Never After, issue number 1, which came out last week. We're going to delve into like the creative path of how you came up with that with Giorgio, and then we'll just kind of probably float in and back with the chat and questions and stuff, if that's all right. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, you guys.
Perfect. So up first, we've got what we always start off with. This is the business end of the show, Dan. This is kind of where the three of us normally pick our killer covers, but you've joined in this week as well. So no favoritism for people in the chat.
Duke it out for 10 minutes.
This is what we've got coming up.
Love that music.
It's good, isn't it? Tom did that. Tom put that together. That's quite good.
That's awesome.
So as I mentioned, every single week, myself, well, you wouldn't think I take part, but myself, Tom and Andy, we pick a killer cover from the comics that have come out this week. I'm not even in the running this year. I think I'm trailing behind. I think Dan and Andy are absolutely killing it this time around. But to obviously with you joining us on the show, we've kind of picked our favourite covers that you've done over the years, and you've also picked your one as well. So if we just jump straight into it. So up first is obviously yours, Dan.
Yay. I like that.
So, I mean, tell us a bit about this. How did you kind of come up with the idea and the concept for this?
Well, this one, it was for Daredevil number 1. I think it was a relaunch, and I'm a huge Frank Miller fan. I mean, I grew up buying his Daredevil comics from, we have out here these convenience stores called 7-Elevens, and they're just on a little spinner rack, and I would pick them up there. So I was a little nervous about doing this cover because it's Daredevil and it's in issue number 1. But they said when it involved the hand, which is like the ninjas for in the Marvel universe, for anyone who doesn't know, I was like, what if they're walking along and the ninjas are so stealthy that you don't even see them somehow? I don't know how, but they're walking with the hand. I thought that would be kind of cool.
Such a cool concept, because like the idea like the ninjas can't be seen. I think that's really cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I had a blast with this one. I colored it a bunch of different ways. Like sometimes I'll start coloring something like with realistic hues and colors. And then, ultimately sometimes this stuff looks a little bit more dramatic if you get hyper stylized, and that red against the blue worked out nicely. But I tried. This one took me a long time. Usually I can pencil, ink, and color a cover in a day, but this one probably took me 2.5 days to do, of just me pulling my hair out and going crazy. But I'm happy with the results, and I'm happy that they, sometimes depending on with the logo, sometimes they don't do much with it. They'll put it in, or maybe it's kind of small. I was like, no, this thing needs to look like this. So they went with it, and I was thrilled.
I love the way you say that it took you ages, and it was 2.5 days.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say 2.5 weeks, and I thought that would have been fine, but 2.5 days is phenomenal.
I think this would take me a year.
Yeah, there's guys that are like very fast, and there's some guys that take their time, and it just depends on how you work. I mean, a day for me it could be anywhere from 6 hours to 16 hours. My poor family, I feel bad for them.
Yeah,
nice.
I would love to see this as a print or a virgin copy. I don't know if they released it as a virgin.
I think Comic Sketch Arts might have a print of this, or even Essential Sequential might have some. No, they sent them all back to me. Essential Sequential is a representative company that sells original art, and CSA, Comic Sketch Arts, will be at conventions and host you, and kind of like if you're an artist or a writer, they kind of help your comic book convention experience go a little smoother. There's somebody there kind of helping out, so it's fun in that way. But yeah, they have prints. I'm pretty sure if you're ever at a show, or I'd love to do a show in the UK. I've visited, but I've never done an actual comic book show there.
We should make that happen, guys. We should try and get.
We should get you over to Thought Bubble, Dan.
Yeah, use your powers.
We will. We'll try.
Use the killer comic influence.
Yeah, you guys pushing people around.
If we have any.
This cover's getting a lot of talk in the chat. We've got Chris Bell has said this is absolutely spectacular. Leon Russell has said, I bloody love that cover. I've got a feeling this interview is going to cost me a fortune on eBay. Connie has said, it's a pretty sick cover. I'm a fan of reflections being utilised. And GP Venom has just joined and said, hello all. So, yeah, no, I mean, it is a pretty spectacular cover. The only thing that's annoying, though, is the barcode at the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Just totally throws it out.
Dan, is there a reason this is your favourite cover that you've done?
I just think the combination. I just like the idea with the hand. I mean, there's been covers where people are walking and you see the reflection and so forth, and sometimes it's like maybe it's the alter ego of Daredevil or whatever hero they have in that place. But I like the idea of just the absence of the hand on top and seeing them below. So, I mean, like this, a guy like Dave Johnson, almost every other cover he puts out is incredibly clever. Like he just plays with design in such a way that it's pretty impressive. And my work's generally a little bit more straightforward. So to kind of combine those two things, for me, it was a success personally.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that.
Right. It's definitely well done. So obviously this is your pick, Daredevil issue #1, which came out July 2022 last year. Funny enough, we've got another one of your covers, Dan, and this was picked by Tom.
Yeah, buddy. I went for the Danger Girl The Chase #1. I'm a massive J. Scott Campbell fan, so when I'd seen that you'd done one of his characters, I was like, I'm all over that. It's awesome. I just love it. I love the concept that you've done of how you've done both girls, and then like the action scene around it is quality, and the detail you've got in the helicopter is pretty sick as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was based on like at least the Abby character is kind of based on the Steve McQueen poster from Bullet, and then I just threw a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So I was thrilled. I'm a huge Scott Campbell fan too, and I had just started at Image Comics at that point when, well, maybe I'd been there for about a year because he was doing Gen 13 for at least a year, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thrilled. Like I was the one who not every time, but I try to get some of my favorite artists to do covers for the series I write, like Alice Ever After, and he provided a cover, and now with like Alice Never After, I got a cover from Sean Murphy, who's a buddy of mine, which is pretty cool. Excellent. Very, very designy and interesting and intricate. Like he did a killer job.
So cool.
That nearly won cover of the week last week. I was picked at the post for that one, which I was pretty gutted about. But,
I was so annoying. Literally one vote in it last week.
I think there's some favouritism already. It says UK Demaster. It says looks like Dan is winning cover of the week tonight as well. So
it's an interesting coincidence. I'm on the show and
so many Dan covers knocking about.
Yeah.
But this is such an awesome cover. I just like the whole the whole 60s vibe of like the vintage cars and the Vespers and the helicopters and stuff like that. You must have had some serious fun drawing this.
Oh, I had a blast, and I was experimenting with this painting program called Art Rage, just to give it kind of a painted look.
Nice.
It was fun.
It does look great.
It's like you said, it does look like an old like British movie poster, if you like, or like it's James Bond or something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, even their logo's really awesome with the kind of a James Bond sort of, intro when they do the great animation, some of those beginning sequences.
Yeah, man.
No, it's definitely a good one. This was obviously released quite a while ago, like 2013. So it's aged pretty well.
Oh, yeah, it was a year before my son was born. That's crazy.
Oh, wow. Then up next, I've gone for Daredevil issue number 14. We spoke about this when you first appeared on the show last year, and I think I mentioned then that this is one of my favourite covers that you've done. I think it was just the fact that it's the first appearance of Muse, and I just think it's great, because I don't think I've ever seen a Daredevil cover like this, where like the use of like the background and everything. I think this must have taken you a while to do, no?
I don't remember because it was a while ago, but I was kind of thrilled. Like they let me draw the logo, which was kind of cool.
Cool.
Obviously, I'm using the real Daredevil logo as a template, but I got to, draw it to make it look like Muse is drawing it, or painting it rather. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Charles Soule, the writer, ended up, I think, buying this cover, like the original art.
Oh, cool.
That is cool. I think Muse has been announced as the main villain for the new Daredevil TV show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think this cover and the first appearance is doing really well on eBay.
Oh, man, I should have kept it. I
was going to say you'll be happy that you picked this one up.
Yeah. I'm sure you've got this in your back catalogue, as it were. Then I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I still have copies of everything.
Nice.
This is, and like, it must be good. You must obviously keep like the original sketches and everything like this as well. So sometimes you look over the covers and think, oh, like the progress that you've taken looks.
Yeah, sometimes it looks nothing like what I show the editors. Yeah. And hopefully the end result is better than the sketch. And sometimes it's hard for an artist to capture some of the energy in a sketch because it's so loose. But this one was fun. I love doing. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Daredevil, so I get excited whenever I do covers like this.
So then, stepping away from Daredevil, up last but not least, Andy.
Yeah, I went for Spawn issue number 347. This is actually due out October this year. And Dan, I have to say, having looked through your sort of back catalogue and some of the covers that you've done, I think the way that you draw animals is absolutely superb. You've done I've seen like a lot of horses and things like that. So whenever I've seen this cover, and I'm a huge Spawn fan myself, I just had to pick this as my one of my favorite covers that you've done. Can you tell us maybe a bit of the thought process whenever you were coming up with this?
Well, this is kind of fun. Like I'm doing a series of 4 different Spawn covers, and Todd, I've known Todd since the early Image days when Spawn was coming out. I did a little bit of work with him. I think I inked him 1 or 2 times on little things, and then I got to ink Greg Capullo's first issues of Spawn.
Oh, cool!
And so cool. It was kind of neat to have him request I do some covers, and we got on like a Zoom call, and we spent like an hour, basically just an hour catching up. But mostly, I'm asking what would you like me to do, and he goes, I have a catalog of I believe it's like 140 different characters you can choose from. And I'm like, well, what about the storylines? He goes, forget about that. He goes, just draw the characters you want to draw. We'll turn them into covers, and that's what kind of makes McFarlane so awesome. Like he just, he loves this industry, like a fan, like all of us do. And he's like, no, we'll make it work. It's just a cool cover, and this is Cygor, and I thought, I'm a big fan of Brian Boland also, and
yes,
Brian would do those Animal Man covers, and I was already working in the industry when those were coming out, I think, because I would get that free DC comps out, and I would tear the covers. I know it's like sacrilege, but I had like a Brian Boland like binder, and I would just put all his covers he did, various covers, and just marvel at how well he drew animals and all the detail he would put in the line work, and it was insane. So this is probably like my homage to Brian in a lot of ways. I wanted to do something that he would look at and go, oh, that's interesting.
That's really cool, man.
So cool. I'd like to see this as just like the black and white inks without it colored as well. So I know sometimes Spawn would bring out like a black and white version of the main cover.
They might do that. I don't know. They have both files. Like I always send in both files.
Yeah.
The black and white version, if I'm right, it's on your Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah, I put it on there, and that's before like I scan the file in. So a lot of times once I get before I color it, I'll add stuff in Photoshop, like maybe a little bit of a texture here and there, or if I messed up with some of the line. I don't like to use white paint too often on originals. I don't know why. I think we probably dates back to all the inking I did, and I remember Scott Williams would only use whiteout or white paint when it was a special effect. He was like, I don't make mistakes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to not make mistakes, but you do make mistakes, and then I'll touch them up. But yeah, that version online on Twitter and on Facebook, maybe even on Instagram, is in black and white.
Dan, do they ever, like the comic companies, do they ever give you a preference of what one you would like to be published, or do you push, like for instance, this one where it's just got the line and it's got this one, would you have preferred for the line work one to be done?
I mean, sometimes I'm not totally satisfied with the color, and maybe I think it looks better in black and white. This one I was pretty happy with the color, like the way the light's popping off the nostrils and the little tiny glint in the eye. They still look dark and a little scary and foreboding, but yeah, I mean, I wish it was up to me. I wish, I guess if I pushed it, if I turned in the cover black and white with someone like Todd, he would have just said, okay, that's the artist's vision, and we're going to go with that. And he's pretty cool that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. It does look awesome. I mean, what I've noticed is that some comic book like arts and stuff are venturing into like model making and stuff, and like taking their favorite covers and making models and figure scales and stuff. Is that something you would like to do with like some covers?
Personally, like model, I'd love to learn that skill. I mean, I think a lot of artists have that, myself included, have that misconception, like, oh, I'm an artist, I'd be able to do something three-dimensionally, but I got a feeling it'd be a lot harder than I think. I'd probably come out looking like a Muppet or something, but but I'd love to try. I'd like to try actual painting beyond watercolor painting too. I'm doing a little bit with gouache. I'm trying to use that a little bit more and experiment with the artwork. I think it helps an artist grow. Like if a penciler starts inking their own work, or starts trying to color your work, it kind of informs the artist about shapes better and the way light hits things, and ultimately makes the drawing itself, whatever stage better. It's like cross training.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess it's just another element of what you're already learning, just taking everything that you learn and just trying to put it into some other aspect of artistic creation, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fun job in that sense. Like you can take it as far as you want. Like, and like for me, I'd like to take it as far as that, like an Adam Hughes or an Alex Ross. I don't know if that's ever within my realm of ability, but it's a nice way to challenge yourself and keep things fresh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, so that's the 4 covers. Tom, if you kind of want to put the vote live on YouTube.
Already up, pal.
Oh, it's already up. There we go. So the 4 covers, we've got Andy's pick, we've got my pick, we've got Tom's pick, and then obviously we've got Dan's pick as well. So Dan, we've brought you on to with the release of Alice Never After last week, and you were kind enough to send us something. So I'm just going to play it now for everyone in the chat.
Oh, okay, cool.
Alice Never After. Now that our little Alice has gone fully mad, she's finally able to live out her dream in Wonderland. But reality still has Alice in its teeth as her newly found sanctuary turns to chaos. Will she be able to claw her way back to the real world, where perhaps something more sinister is afoot? I suppose curiosity doesn't always kill the cat.
That guy sounds a little crazy.
So awesome.
I love that guy's voice. The guy sounds he belongs in Wonderland for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely.
He really does.
Definitely. But so obviously, like Alice Never After the huge success of Alice Ever After last year, I was shall I say more than excited to find out that this was getting a second go at. And when this came out, I was literally chomping at the bit. And I think we spoke after the end of the final chapter of Alice Ever After. I was like, we're going to get you back on the show, because if this does happen, we've got to get you back on the show with all 3 of us to talk through it. So obviously this is Alice Never After issue number 1, the review, which came out last week. So obviously there's 7 covers that came out. We've got the main cover by yourself. We've got cover B, which was by Jenny Frisson. Cover C, which is the 1 in 10 Virgin variant by Jenny Frisson. We've got the Boom Studios San Diego Comic-Con Jenny Frisson exclusive, which you was at San Diego
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we had a hard time picking which for Jenny sent in 2 versions, and we're like both, But how do you pick between those 2? She did such a great job. I got to meet her at the latest San Diego Comic-Con. We had dinner, a bunch of us from Boom Studios, and she's so humble and modest. She really didn't even introduce herself. Like no one goes, "Oh, that's Jenny who does these amazing comics, not just for mine, but for like so many different Marvel, DC, Boom, Image." Like she's very sought after, and it might just be me, but I think she puts, the first series, Alice Ever After, she did stuff I've never seen her do before. Lots of backgrounds and little tiny details, and this one too. So she really puts in. She must enjoy, Alice in Wonderland, because she puts a lot of work into these.
They are fantastic
stunning
covers, and as you said, like trying to pick which one that gets released and stuff like that. But I mean, how was San Diego Comic-Con? Because it was only, what was it, last week?
I think it was 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah,
it was interesting. I'm sure you heard online and whatever about Hollywood not having that presence there, and they were pretty sure it would affect maybe attendance or the vibe, but. It really didn't feel that way. I mean, there were less panels for people to go to that involved Hollywood releases of film and TV. But other than that, it still was a lot of fun. The show became a little bit more comic book centric, which none of the people in my industry mind whatsoever. Like people spent a lot more time in the actual exhibitors hall looking through things, and probably fans that weren't necessarily fans of the comics themselves, but more of the film. Maybe they got a chance to check out some comic books that they hadn't previously.
At least it was able to take place, though. I guess that's the main thing, to be honest. But we definitely will get you. We'll try as much as we can to get you over to the best UK Comic-Con there is in Thought Bubble, which is great.
Or we'll just do our own.
Yeah,
just run our own.
I'd be quite happy to come over to San Diego and do San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, you guys should come out sometime. By the way, I didn't mention it, but that intro, we occasionally do a drink and draw show, and we need some kind of cool intro like that. We got to take some tips from you guys.
You can send it over to us. We're happy to help with that. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all.
Absolutely.
So there was these 4 covers, and then also we've got the cover D, which is the 1 in 25 in Hike Lee variant cover. And then, as you mentioned, the close one of yours, Sean Murphy done the 1 in 50, the reveal cover E, and then the FOC reveal, Sean Murphy as well. These are great.
I love that Lee cover. It just feels like something that, has existed. It could have been, made 60, 70 years ago. It just and Sean really did a good job of kind of creating this sort of, it's more of a graphic than a cover than anything. It has that bit of iconography. It's really a unique. I've never seen him do anything like that before.
I said last week on the show, I would like to have seen this black and white, but just left the gold of the key, and then everything else be black and white. Would be quite sick. Yeah,
it would be. I think there was one more cover too. I think they did a version. I put it up. It's actually on my large screen over here, where they I put word balloons on each one, and we took the logo off. And I think it's a very rare variant where it just has Alice speaking and the Toad speaking on the cover. There's probably I put it up on my Instagram if anyone wants to see it, and it's the same as my handle here that I put on your show, Urban Barbarian.
Instant typing.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like every cover we're doing that. We're doing a special version of it that doesn't have the logo and just has the characters speaking a little bit of nonsense.
I'd love to see like a playing card cover.
Yeah.
Or like a set of playing cards for Alice Never After. Especially after reading the first issue, which we'll go into. And Mr. Six is it the playing card, the character? So yeah, we should definitely do that. Playing cards.
Fun. Who knows? Boom might do something like that.
That's cool.
So that's the cover. So obviously each week we pick like our favourite page of the book and stuff like that. But I mean, for me, I enjoyed all the pages, so it's pretty hard for me to pick, and I know the guys enjoyed it as well. But obviously, at the end of Alice Ever After, we kind of find out how it's all ended, and she's ended up in Wonderland and stuff like that, and the Cheshire Cat's been banished. He's not welcome at the table anymore.
Yeah.
Before you'd even finished Alice Ever After, did you already know how Alice Never After was going to progress and how it was going to continue?
Yeah, I did. And what's nice is you don't always get an opportunity to do a follow-up season, but I even have a follow-up for this series as well. But I didn't get to do something like that with An Unkindness of Ravens, which I did for Boom. I don't think the sales at the time warranted it, but luckily the sales were high enough for this series that we got to do something. But yeah, every part I'm more excited about this series than I was about the first one. We should. I don't know if we should have or we shouldn't have. If you hadn't picked up the first series, I tried to write it in such a way where you didn't have to. But at the end of the first series, Alice is practically lobotomized. She's the Mad Hatter, which is this doctor over here that she's going to visit in prison. Not her, but her sister rather, performs this operation, and it's called trepanning, which it's similar to a lobotomy where you stick needles and cut off aspects of the brain, and he's kind of experimenting with it, like with all the patients that were in the mental hospital, and he's a little bit of a sick gentleman, and Alice is left permanently in Wonderland, but her sister is going to try to do anything she can to help her return to the real world, because turns out as the series progresses, there's some very legitimate reasons why she may want to return. In the meanwhile, her father, who is kind of metaphorically like the Cheshire Cat, he's a little bit smitten with Mistress Hulda, who is the Queen of Hearts. So now that Alice is permanently in Wonderland, and it's kind of bittersweet for her, because she always that's where she wanted to be at the issue, the beginning of issue number 1 of Alice Ever After, and now here it is, Alice Never After, and she becomes the Queen of Hearts at the very end of this issue. But sometimes it's a case of, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
And what I liked what you did in the first one, like you and Giorgio clearly have a good relationship. Like the way that you would, I think you'd write Wonderland and he would write the normal world and stuff, and you've continued to do that in this as well. Did that just naturally progress, or was you kind of like, well, I'm going to do this and you can do that, or did you kind of butt heads and think, right, if we just combine it, we can kind of just naturally fell into it?
Yeah, we decided to switch it up. Last time he did the real world stuff, and now we do the Wonderland interludes. And now, since the crux of the story takes place in Wonderland and he's the main artist, I thought he should have some fun. And it looks like he's having a lot of fun. Like I told him Wonderland should, I'll give him hints of what should be in the panels, but, where he takes some of that stuff is very surprising and kind of a delight, particularly for me to see when I get the pages in, because, if I drew it, I would draw it a certain way, but it's always nice to see someone's interpretation, especially when they're as talented as he is.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, me, Andy and Tom were throwing around theories, and Andy threw out a really, really good theory, which I'm going to let him talk about in a minute.
All right.
My theory is that, so obviously Alice is constantly in Wonderland now. She's permanently in Wonderland. And obviously we see, it's like the iconic image on the film and throughout this comic is the White Rabbit running away because he's constantly late for something. Yeah. My theory is that he keeps running away because that's Alice's subconsciousness, is that if she gets hold of the White Rabbit, she's going to return to the normal world that she doesn't want to return to. So the White Rabbit is constantly running away, so she will be forever in Wonderland. And I think not maybe when it gets to the end of the comic, she finally gets the White Rabbit and returns back to the normal world. But that's my theory. That's how I'm seeing it.
Charlie, you just ruined the entire comic book for everyone.
Spoilers.
Now we don't need it, the other 4 issues.
Ruined it.
Oh my God.
Honestly, there's a lot to that. You clearly know Alice in Wonderland really well, and yes, I think that exists, and the White Rabbit is going to play a really integral part in this series, and there's some funny things in store. I mean, I was. It's Alice in Wonderland. It's fantastical, but it's also pretty humorous. So I try to keep it, it's pretty dire. She's mentally incapacitated, and the stakes keep raising each issue as to her other complications, we'll say. But it's still humorous. And so there's some humorous reveals, but they're also kind of poignant and, crucial to this story. So this is it's a fun series. I hope a lot of people get to pick it up and they enjoy it as much as we have, like putting it together. I
think you can tell that you and George have had a really good run at this. Like you can tell that you bounce off each other and you're really enjoying the comic, like not just writing it, but drawing it as well. You can tell straight off the bat. And I'm sure I can speak for all 3 of us, like massively enjoyed reading it because it was just an enjoyable book to read. And the first series was as well. And you could tell that you guys had fun with it, which is nice.
Oh, thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
I haven't got a theory.
No.
Spoiler alert, I don't have a theory. I'm not.
Some people have floated their theories online on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, they already. I mean, it's it's like anything. It's like watching a TV show. Like sometimes you can figure out things pretty quickly, and then sometimes you don't.
I just overthink, and Dan, that's my problem. I just overthink things.
This is a good overthinking. This is a good one.
Yeah.
So sit back.
When you put it in the group chat, it was a little bit like, okay. Fair enough.
That makes sense. So the first thing I was just going to mention, Charlie mentioned about the White Rabbit. I thought I saw the White Rabbit as a bit of a metaphor in the comic, and it was a metaphor for kind of played the role of Alice's dragon because she's always chasing them, and it's always like she's chasing the dragon from a drug use perspective.
Zoom in on Dan, Charlie, so we can get a reaction.
Yeah, blink twice if that's correct. But for the first issue, which I must say was absolutely fantastic, it's always a challenge reading and reviewing a comic whenever you've got the creator on the show. But honestly, it was a real pleasure to read the first issue, and I think the first arc was one of very few arcs that we had read from issue 1 to the very end. And I would say to anybody who's watching the rewind that I don't think you necessarily have to have read the first arc. I would urge you to do so, but I don't think it should put you off from reading this first issue, and because you've written it in such a way that it's almost like a complementary arc to the first one. So I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody was put off if they maybe missed the first arc. Was that, before I go into my mad theory, did you mean to do that, Dan? Was that something you meant to do whenever you were starting the second arc, that you might consider that people might have not read the first one?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to begin, like, there's a little bit of exposition in the first page of the series, so we kind of know Alice's mental state. We don't know all the particulars unless you've read the first series, you know. And we kind of bandied about the idea of maybe putting a like what happened before sort of thing, but ultimately we didn't go with that. So
yeah.
But yeah, I have seen you know, some people that didn't read the first one, they're left a little bit, you know, they can only speculate what had happened prior, but I think the story works from this position. We'll find out. I mean, you know, I hope it does. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I believe it's sold out. It's went straight to a second print. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. We're all thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start. So yeah. my big theory, and this is going to sound really silly, but when I'd finished reading the first issue, my immediate thought was that Alice is pregnant, or if she's not pregnant, it's her sister that's pregnant, and she's having sort of sympathy pains. And it was sort of backed up on the theory that if you, one of the pages that Giorgio's done has little babies crying and looking in the flowers, and it kind of all connected. Obviously, she's been sick in the morning and stuff like that, and that was my theory. So I don't want you to confirm or deny, but that's my theory.
I'll simply say this: no comment. That's the correct response. Right?
Call me Boom Studios. Call me. But no, it was fantastic. It was a superb first issue, and I believe that we're going to go into FOC after we've done the review, and the second issue's on FOC this weekend. So go pick it up, guys.
So obviously these are the 3 pages that myself, Tom, and Andy picked. But then obviously Dan's given us the pleasure of choosing some of the stuff that, like the mood boards and the concept boards, as it were. So Dan, did you want to talk about like some of these stuff that we're showing on the screen right about now?
Yeah, this artwork, these were all just ideas I had for the first issue's cover. And normally, I mean, if it's a regular comic, I'll just do it in black and white. But I got a little carried away here on these. And you could clearly see which one landed up being the cover. But the other one at the far right of the screen is the pitch artwork I used to pitch Boom Studios with when I was presenting the series to them.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Thanks. That was fun. I kind of replaced the birds with her cats that speak to her, but yeah. And you can look at the other covers, like there's the larger image is just a different version of Alice, kind of in that swampy lake, river, or whatever it is, and it has kind of a Waterhouse feel to it. But yeah, I mean, I would have been happy almost doing any of them. They're all fun. The little tiny one on the bottom right hand side, least of all, really tells the story of what's happening. So we definitely didn't, except with the rabbit kind of sneaking away. But yeah, they're fun. I mean, what's fun is really seeing the variant covers, and you get to see how many artists are just fans of Alice, you know, the actual literary work, and maybe in some cases the Disney movie. But it's great to see. Like, I'm always excited, you know, because everybody has
like the one where she's looking in the mirror at the Cheshire Cat, looking back at her.
Yeah, always trying to do something a little bit clever there.
It definitely worked. So that's these, and then obviously,
this is
these
great.
These are great.
These are awesome.
Yeah, I always do the logos for every book I write and draw, or even if I'm just writing it, I'll do the logos for it. And this was obviously the first series, and there weren't too many versions for the second series because we wanted to keep that familiarity of the existing logo and just that splash of never replacing ever. So, but yeah, these were fun. The Cheshire Cat here is a kind of that one where you see the full body is a recreation of one of the original first drawings of the Cheshire Cat. The other ones that just, I just thought maybe they're a little extreme, like that really bottom one might be a little hard to read, but it's just kind of, I like the fanciful aspects of it. It has that period thing, but yeah, it's fun to do logos. I love doing logos.
These look
make
great.
a great
These look
cover.
like tattoos. They look like you could get these as tattoos. They look great.
Yeah, thanks.
I'd love these on a cover, to be fair. I'd love to see these, printed on a cover, or even as like almost like a stamp or something like that would be pretty cool.
Fun. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
When Charlie said a tattoo, Dan literally was like, restraining order.
Not another one.
I need everyone in the world to like the series as much as Charlie, and it'd be perfect for me. That'd be my Wonderland.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so that's that.
I was going to say, Charlie, if we can get like a hardback sort of compendium of the first and second arc, I think that those sort of logos that you've just shown there would be really smart, like like
that's
an
true.
emblem or something. That'd be
on the hardbound beneath the slip cover. Yeah, that would be looking really cool.
Yeah, that'd be
almost like an envelope opening up an invitation for Wonderland type thing.
Yeah.
It's like the moleskin you can get in the back of the moleskin. There's always like a little like leaflet,
little tie.
Bits in. Yeah. So it'd be nice to have that in there, like, and then this as well, like a little bit of like a character pull out. You can have a look at stuff. That's cool.
Yeah,
I love this.
I mean, I'd love to see them if we can do a third series, which would be Alice Forever After. I'd love to see all three of them, in an omnibus of some kind. It'd be a lot of pages, but it'd be great to see a big hardcover like that.
A shelf stopper, as they call it, when it's like on the shelf, it's like right in the middle, and it's
weighs like a
pride place.
Yeah.
Have you pitched that yet, Dan? Or is it all dependent on how well it goes?
Yeah, I keep sneaking it into emails. I mean, even from the first series, I told them about all three, and of course it's sales dictate whether that's even feasible or not. But they're great at Boom. There was a few different ideas I had for another series, and they're gracious enough to let us do this. So
let's tag Boom Studios, everybody, and start a petition.
Just let me know how many copies I've got to buy, Dan, and I'll sort it out.
The more the merrier. Yeah, I love drawing. These all have kind of an Arthur Rackman feel to them. Like that's. I just love that era of illustration, and it just lends itself perfectly to Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
We should get Ross Ritchie back on the show and just like arm wrestle him into it.
Yeah, I don't think Ross even went to San Diego. I haven't seen him in a while. For a little while during the pandemic, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons on Zoom.
Oh, cool.
I'm sure a lot of people have done. Well, a lot of comic book people. Or not too many people. Not everybody plays Dungeons and Dragons. And I
took it up.
Yeah. Sorry. What?
I took it up during lockdown. I had a go with a few friends playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was pretty cool.
It's fun. I hadn't played since I was a teenager, really, and it's just an enjoyable pastime, especially when you're just sitting around your house doing absolutely nothing.
Totally.
Why not? But this is these are key characters, and obviously. I like the ones you do on Twitter with the crows every morning, like just the little quips and stuff. But these are great. I mean, how long would one of these little sketches take you to do?
Well, I probably took all day to draw all these together, because I'm trying to figure out what exactly they look like or what I'm going for. I mean, ultimately, it's not that difficult. If you're doing the dodo bird, you're gonna just throw a top hat on them. It kind of helps, it makes it a little easier. But it's still you want to keep the costuming sort of within that in that world and time period in 1890s, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it does, as Andy said, this would be good as like a little collectible thing in hardback and stuff that you kind of just pull out, and it's like a little keepsake.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, there's always neat things that Boom does, even like with the first page, the way the border goes around the credits or on the back cover. I think we had the soldiers, the playing card soldiers on the back, and then an actual line from the literary work. So it's fun.
And with like the following up issues, is it coming out bi-weekly, or is it every like 3 or 4 weeks? Do you know?
I think it's every 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one issue left to write, like the final issue. But right now, Giorgio's on issue number 4.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's almost. Knowing him, he's almost done. He's just incredibly quick. And then we have an amazing colorist. He's coloring Giorgio's work and my work. Usually, I always color my own work, but we planned it. Obviously, we want the pages in London to feel a little bit more muted and sedate. And then when you get to Wonderland, it's wild, fantastical colors that could only be in Wonderland or on the pages of the comic book.
Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously that is the Alice Never After review. If you haven't checked out the first art, definitely head over, get it on trade paperback or get the individual issues. It's definitely worth a read. And as Andy said, you don't necessarily need to pick up the first art to read this, but we would highly recommend it. And then obviously jump into this and head over to Dan's Twitter account and post him with different theories of how you think Alice has ended up where she is and stuff. And as you can see now, if you have a look up at on the screen now, Dan is going to be doing a sketch which we will be giving away at the end of the show for one lucky person in the chat. So what we'll do, Andy will be taking care of that at the end, and one lucky person in the chat will be very fortunate and very lucky to have a one-off artwork by Dan Panosian. So very, very lucky. So stay with us until the end of the show for that one.
I'm texting the wife now.
So that is the reviews done. So now we're going to go into the final order cutoff. So obviously, Dan, you're there working. You can crack on, mate. That's fine. We've got a Dan Panosian special. So normally the FOC cutoff is obviously the final order cutoff is the date retailers must submit their orders before publishers set their print runs. And obviously we go through Slab Crusaders, who have extended it. So the final order cutoff for them for the orders to be placed is before 9 o'clock every Sunday evening, or your orders will be cancelled or you'll miss out on the comic that you want. So up first we have Alice Never After issue number 2, cover A, Boom Studios, obviously written by the artist at the top of the screen, working at the moment. And as always, if you do scan the CR code, it will take you to the Slab Crusaders site, and you can buy it until your heart's content. So Dan, if you haven't got this issue, just give it a scan and you can go for a buy it. Then we've got this one. Andy, this one's great, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the cover.
Oh, that's so cool.
My favorite, I think it's Miguel Mercado's done this cover. So there's this particular cover, which is cover B, and there is also cover C. There's a 1 in 10 variant of this. It's obviously the Virgin variant of it. But yeah, I believe Slab Crusaders have this particular issue available. Just scan that QR code and it'll take you straight to the website to pick it up. And then the 1 in 10, if you're lucky enough to pick this up, cover C, is absolutely fantastic as well.
What a cover.
I could look at that cover for absolute ages. This is the Miguel Mercado Virgin cover, Dan, that's available as well. So this is superb, absolutely superb.
Yeah, what an honor to get something like that.
Oh, absolutely. So, and in particular, the 1 in 25, Dan, as well. So this is
stunning, absolutely stunning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was thrilled. He did a cover for the first series, and then man, look at that thing. I mean, it's breathtaking.
really is.
Very
is.
humbling when you see these covers come in. You're like, oh, I'm doing a good job. And then you see some of this stuff, and you're like, oh, I guess I got a lot of work to do.
I can imagine. Absolutely. I don't think the picture that I chose for this does it any justice. It's a little bit grainy, but believe you me, that this is an absolutely stunning cover.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So
Go pick up 25 issues of Dan's cover, and you'll get this one as well. So.
Yeah, just a mere 25.
That's it.
Charlie's just got 25 in his basket just now.
I've just picked some up now. All done. And then the next one is the Alice Never After issue number 2, cover E, which is the FOC reveal. Did it take you long to do this cover, Dan?
Can you find that cover?
Yeah, that's my favorite cover.
Yeah, so it's a good one, that.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is going to be revealed actually at the weekend or on Friday, but I searched, and good old Google couldn't help me. So
find it.
This is the FOC reveal cover E, and it even says the cover art is to be announced. Are you able to announce that, Dan, or is that still a secret?
I don't know. Maybe we could tell it on this broadcast. Maybe.
Cool.
I believe we do have a cover coming up. I don't know if it's this one or not in particular, but Bill Sienkiewicz has drawn a cover. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. I'm a huge fan of Bill's, like so many people are. So I cannot wait.
If this is the Bill Sienkiewicz cover, I think we may have broken the Slab Crusaders website right about now with orders. But yeah, I'll definitely be picking up this cover. I love Bill's work. But fantastic, absolutely great. So yeah, that's your selection. This is your selection of Alice Never After issue number 2 covers, which is on FOC. Make sure that you pick them up at your LCS. If you can't, then definitely go to Slab Crusaders, and you can get at least 3 of the covers from there. And that is your FOC for this week.
And then Andy, you might as well just stay on the slides because you've got these fantastic indie picks.
Well, I'll do some more indie picks then. Okay, let me do some killer indie picks then. So these are the killer indie picks for August 9th, which is obviously New Comic Book Day next week. And again, there's a bit of a theme running through this show. Our main man Dan will pick some indie covers that Dan is doing. We don't have rules on this show. We throw away rules. We go against rules. So there is a DC cover in this week's indie picks. So I'm sure everybody will forgive us this once. So this is Scarlet Couture, the Munich File issue number 1. This is written and artwork by Des Taylor. And obviously fantastic cover there by yourself, Dan. I believe there's 2 other covers. So there's this cover in a foil version, and there was also a San Diego Comic Con cover, which is a red version of this.
Yeah, and I got to meet Des at the show. Actually, I've met him once before. Such a nice guy, and I met him because I did the cover because I'm a fan of his work. Des is such a talented guy, and I don't know if you guys have ever met him at a show, but he's the guy's just a sweetheart. He's a funny guy, and it's a lot of he just does comic books that are fun to read and look at. Terrific artist.
Absolutely, and I think he's more known for his DC cover art. I don't know how many books he's written. I don't know if he's done many, but I noticed at the top of the cover they've got a little bit of a solicitation there from Mark Miller saying, "Beautiful, I love this style." So
that can't hurt.
There's another reason to pick it up, guys, if you needed one. So that's our first indie pick. The second indie pick that we have is another cover by Dan. You're a busy man. You're a busy man.
It's almost like we knew Dan was going to be here.
Absolutely. It's as if we know what we're doing. This is Barnstormers issue number 2, written by the fantastic Scott Snyder, artwork by the fabulous Tula Lotay. And this is a series that I actually read whenever it was released through Comixology. So it's fantastic to see it being released in print through Dark Horse Comics. Did you have fun doing this cover, Dan?
Oh, I had a blast, and Tula just won an Eisner. Both Scott and Tula won an Eisner for Barnstormers. So it was kind of neat to see. And I guess this is coming. Is this number 1 or number 2?
Number 2. Yeah.
Number 2. Yeah, it definitely has like a Great Gatsby sort of feel to it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting from it as well. And it's a great story as well, guys. So I'd definitely recommend that you pick it up. And obviously, if you're picking up any cover, pick up this one.
Yeah, pick up this one.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, guys, we throw rules out the window. This is our indie picks, and DC's not indie.
DC's not indie.
I don't care anymore.
Andy's
Harley
going for a
Quinn, it's
DC book. What?
It's Harley.
It's Harley. It's fantastic. Harley.
Am I in
Quinn.
Wonderland?
This is the Multiversity. Harley Screws Up the DCU issue number 6, written by Frank Thierry and artwork by Logan Faber. And this is a 1 in 25 cover, Dan.
Wow.
So yeah, they've got you in the 1 in 25s, but this is superb. Did you have fun doing this one?
Yeah, Frank is a good friend of mine, even though he's a terrible person. But if you ever listen to that guy, he's the quintessential, Brooklynite New Yorker. He's just got he should be in every mob film. He could be in any episode of The Sopranos. But he's hilarious, and he's writing this. And of course, it's a lot. The book's a lot of fun. Frank brings a lot of fun to whatever he works on. But this one, I'm like, God, what did I do? And the good people at DC were like, she destroys the DC universe. I'm like, what if she eats the DC universe, like little DC cereal there? I thought that was kind of cute.
Such a cool little.
And you can see I was in the Alice in Wonderland frame of mind with the background there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is brilliant, and I've no doubt Charlie's going to be picking this up because not only have you done the cover, Dan, but it's his favourite character, Harley. So all these Christmases came at once.
That's great, Charlie.
There we go.
So that is all the indie picks for New Comic Book Day next week, guys.
Excellent.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And Dan, that sketch you just did is like you was doing that. That just looks. You made it look so simple. You just
make that big man big.
I'm going to. I can't remember how to. There we go. How do I do it? No, I'm not doing it. There we go. There we go. Look at that.
Here we go.
Oh,
stunning.
Yeah.
Look at that. One of you in the chat will be lucky enough to be taking that home with you tonight. So that was
Charlotte.
We unfortunately can't take part, so there will be someone winning it as well. But yeah, so that's the indie picks as well. And then now this is the important part. Now, Dan, obviously you being on the show was fantastic. Thank you for joining us and stuff. But this is where like the real things come in. So Tom, do you want to
are you sure you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So poll has ended. And in last place, and I'm really sorry, Charlie, but it is you. But this week is the first time I've ever seen it at 0%.
Wow.
You don't get any votes.
No votes for Charlie at all.
Wow.
In third place is Andy with 23%. And then in second place is Dan with 30%. And then topping the leaderboard is me with 46%.
Look at that.
Wow.
But Dan wins overall because they're all Dan's covers.
You win overall, yeah.
No.
So yeah,
100% of the covers are Dan, so Dan's the real winner.
Yeah, somehow I really like how this show's turned out.
There's my wife.
And Tom, there's your wife. Tom definitely did not make me do this. There we go. Look. And there we go. So obviously that's the killer covers and stuff like that. And obviously you can find us over on Instagram, myself at Bar Comics, Andy at perpetual.comics, and also on Twitter, and then Tom at Not Quite Mint, and also Tom Mailing _PT. And then you've got our the show at the Killer Comics Show on Instagram and Killer Comics Show on Twitter. But
that's scary.
If you want to find out more from the main man,
look at that, a beautiful headshot.
Look at that.
There we go.
Jeez. That's
would you see
that face every morning?
Would you say you're more you use Instagram more or Twitter more?
I try to use them all equally. You know what? I do use Twitter a little bit more because it's just easier to upload something very quickly. All those little filters and tabs on Instagram. You know, as an artist, I'm like, oh God, maybe you should do this. And sometimes I'll put something on Instagram and I'll use one of those filters, and I'll look at the original, and I'm like, man, I wish I drew it like that. You know, I like the filter so much. I've even gone back when I've had time and pumped up the image in Photoshop to kind of mirror what Instagram had done. So it's a handy little tool.
Yeah, definitely. And where did the name Urban Barbarian come from?
That was a girl I dated, and it meant as an insult. But I like Conan so much, I was like, well, that kind of fits. I like that. I don't mind being called an urban barbarian.
I like it too, to be fair.
That's awesome. That is great. So obviously, if you do want to find out more, head over to Instagram, Urban Barbarian, and then also Twitter, Urban Barbarian as well. And I'm sure you will find constant work, line work, sketches, Alice, everything. You're going to be bombarded now with theories of Alice the Grafter. You can blame us for that.
No, Dan's going to put me under an NDA after this show.
It's in the post, mate.
Boom is going to come after you guys and put a stop to all your fun.
Yeah.
So if the show's cancelled tomorrow, guys, you know why.
Dan, a quick question. Will you be doing any more of Drink and Draw?
Pardon?
Will you be doing any more of Drink and Draw?
We mean to. It's just I think I'm not sure why we just kind of trailed off a bit, but I think it had a lot to do with the pandemic ending and people getting a little bit busier and going to actual drink and draws as opposed to all online. But yeah, we'd love to do more. It's just getting everybody back together to do it, to convince Grumpy Ben to host us. That'd be fun.
No,
I miss it. I know Jeff and
great.
Dave miss it.
Yeah, they are great. So that's that. And then obviously as the end, we do the Killer Comics sneak peek for next week, which these are the 3 comics that we will be up on the community vote for review next week. Tom, you've chosen?
I've chosen for Meanwhile in the Comic Shock anthology, which has got a few different stories written by a few different people in it, which I'm looking forward to reading. I think it was a Kickstarter. Is that right, Andy? Did we talk about this last week?
It was, yeah. It was Kickstarter. I think you can get it on Amazon there. I think Scott Snyder's involved in it, yeah.
He is, yeah. Wow. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. So yeah, please vote for me.
Andy?
No, please vote for me. I went for The Sacrificers by the fantastic Rick Remender. I think this is going to be one of the top books this year through Image Comics, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a read. So if you're interested too, then give this one a vote.
And I've gone for Strange Academy, Miles Morales, issue number 1. So Dan, what we tend to do is we don't give away spoilers or anything. We review the comics from the week before, so then that gives the viewers time to catch up and stuff. Yeah. And it was the only best way to do it. So these are the 3 comics. This will be going on a community vote shortly, and then next week we will be reviewing them. That's the end of the show. Dan, thank you so much for being a fantastic, splendid guest.
Should I run the giveaway?
Yes, Andy, if you would like to run the giveaway, which
or should one of us just take the sketch? I think that's
shotgun. Actually, let Charlie have it. He's just ordered 50 copies of Alice in Wonderland. Anyway.
75 actually, 75. I won't take it.
Sorry.
So guys, hopefully you can see my screen. So the way that you are going to be eligible to win is if you made a comment on this live stream. So we've had 16 different comments now. Full disclosure, I've made a comment and so has Tom. But if we come up, then I'm certainly going to spin the wheel again. But let us draw, and good luck to everybody.
Wow, nice feature. Like how it slows down.
Stream it on this one.
Oh, no way.
Wait, we need to rerun. Hold on.
We need to run that again.
Hold on.
Is the actual operating system for StreamYard.
Hold on. Is this going to work?
It was going so well, wasn't it? There we go.
Is this a new StreamYard feature?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a StreamYard feature, but it's not going to pick up all the. It's not going to pick up all the comments anymore, so we're going to need to do them in a wheel next week, all the comments, and then we can run it that way. Does that sound okay,
Excellent.
guys?
Sounds great to me.
Perfect.
Bloody stream elements, eh?
Technology.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it.
But,
Or you let Dan
Dan-
pick someone.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Pardon?
we can do.
We could always see if Dan wanted to pick someone out of the comments.
Should I pick someone
absolutely.
out? I don't
Yeah,
want.
go on.
I want. Let's see. I would say the last one before that was. Wasn't it Leon Russell who was the very last one prior to the StreamYard pick?
Yes,
Coming up on the
yeah.
thing, yeah.
Maybe Leon
yeah.
was the runner-up then.
There we
Perfect.
go.
Sounds good.
So
Leon, you have
Russell,
one, my friend.
you have one. If you drop us a direct message on Instagram, and then we will get that sorted. So
Don't worry, I've got Leon's
congratulations.
address.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's yours.
So yeah, that is it.
I was going to say, Dan, show it off one more time just to see.
Of course.
Look at that.
So cool.
There we go.
Hold on,
Well
let's
done,
see if I can
Leon.
Take a screenshot. Bear with.
Totally not jealous at all. Not jealous
No,
at
not at
all.
all, right, Charlie?
That looks great. That looks awesome. But Dan, honestly, thank you so much, as always, being a good sport, coming on the show.
it's
It's always
always
great
fun.
having you on.
Yeah, it's been an
and I'm
honour.
sure-
Thanks, Dan.
I'm sure I'll be
I
messaging
appreciate
you
the-
after I've read issue number 2.
I really appreciate the enthusiasm, you guys. It does make a big difference, like to see people as excited as you are to, go on. So that's a beautiful thing about the internet. You get to see other people's reactions, and kind of makes it worth it. Oh, you're welcome, Leon.
There we go. But everyone, it's been another fantastic show. Thank you very much for everyone in the chat that's joining. Have a good weekend. Enjoy what you're reading. And Tom, what do we say?
Stay safe. Stay sexy. See you.
See you later, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.